Let's talk about smart canvassing and selling. So what do you need to do in order to be most effective when you do this? All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the area that we are looking at. So right now we're talking about Lapel, Anderson area. That's where the most recent storm is. That storm date is May 27th, 2019. We'll be working that for a little while. Lapel has 662 houses that were impacted, and I believe the whole area maybe has 8,000 total. So 662 is not a lot. It sounds like a lot, but there's going to be a lot of contractors up there. So that's going to get eaten up pretty quickly, but that's where the 2-inch hail hit. And then the other areas that hit inch to inch and a half. And all of that is good for storms, but the inch to inch and a half, that's for sure you're going to be looking at 3 tabs. Dimensionals, that'll be older roofs, but you won't really even know that unless it's obvious from the ground that they're all torn up and old. Most of the time you can't tell if they're going to be old enough to have sustained damage from that or not, right? So what we really want to concentrate on first is the Lapel area. We are going to go in there. When you get up into the area, you're going to drive around, and if you see a bunch of signs somewhere, don't get discouraged, just keep looking around. So the first part of your day is going to be driving around and trying to identify neighborhoods that maybe haven't been found yet. And those will be in small areas. I worked a storm in Unionville, which is right outside of Bloomington. I think it's just east of Bloomington. And it's a small town. It's very country. So there's not a ton of houses down there. And when I first worked the storm, I went to the eye of the storm, and there were signs everywhere. I was like, oh my gosh, I missed it. And I got there at 9:00 a.m. the day after the storm. And it was frustrating, and it took me a long time before I even got anybody to let me get on a roof. So then I started looking around and looking kind of off the beaten path, and I found some neighborhoods where there were no signs of roofers or anything. And that's the neighborhoods that you want. You want to get in there where there are no signs. You know, you could kick the signs. That means, you know, you can go knock the door where there's signs. But then you're directly competing with somebody that's already got a deal, right? And it's looked on poorly in the industry by people. They don't like when other people kick their signs, just like you wouldn't like if someone kicked your sign and went and said, hey, well, we'll cover your deductible, which we're not trying to do that stuff anyway. It's illegal. So what we want to do is we want to find the neighborhoods that don't have signs in them, or that have very few signs in them. And then we want to knock all the 3 tabs. So when you get into those neighborhoods, you want to drive around and you want to count up the 3 tabs. And if you find several 3 tabs, 10, 15 3 tabs, or better, then that's a good neighborhood to work in. Because if you can get, let's say, half of those, that's 5 projects, right? 5 projects at an average of, say, $15,000 a project, that's $75,000 in revenues, right? And if you get a percentage of that, let's just say that the average percentage is about 10%, that's $7,500 you can make in that neighborhood. So that's decent. So you want to work that neighborhood. And here's the thing, when you get in there, you want to knock every single 3 tab anyway. And in Lapel, when there's 2-inch hail, you can knock every door, right? Now we're concentrating on asphalt. We may go and do other types of roofs, so we're not opposed to that. But right now, our specialty is asphalt. So we're going to look for 3 tabs and dimensionals. And the metal, that may be something that we do in the future, and it may be something we do now if we pick it up. However, metal is a lot stronger. It's not gutter thickness. It's a lot thicker than gutters. So it's going to take a lot to sustain damage for that. And it's harder to get approvals on it, right? So we're looking for the low-hanging fruit. That's the main thing. The low-hanging fruit is what we want. So when you go up in there, you're going to make a map. I would look it up on, look up an address on Google Maps and spread it out a little bit, and then draw the neighborhood the same way as it looks on Google Maps. So you've got it drawn into your handy-dandy notebook, which I advise you get one of these, or whatever, a legal pad, something where you can have your neighborhoods drawn out. So you're going to draw them out and make them big enough so that you can put a little dash and an address, right? And then label the streets so you know exactly where you're at with that. And then say it's a 4118 Easy Peasy Street, right? Now, when you go up and you knock on 4111 and you get no answer, then put a card in their door hanger, and write on there LC, left card, right? Left door hanger, whatever. Make yourself some shorthand that makes sense to you, right? Because this is for your own personal thing so that you know what's going on in that neighborhood. Then you knock on the next door and they're like, not interested. I don't want anything to do with you. So maybe you leave them a card, say, hey, that's fine. If you see a lot of signs going up, you see a lot of roofs being built in this neighborhood, then understand that these are all going to be insurance jobs, and insurance is paying for it, and it only costs you your deductible. So it might be a good idea to give us a call, because if everybody else is damaged and has insurance replacement, chances are you do too. So here's my card. Thanks a lot. Nice meeting you, Bob. I appreciate it, right? If they say, no, get off my property, don't ever come back, make sure you mark that down. Say, you might even ask for their name. Oh, I'm sorry, what's your name so I can put you on our list to make sure that we don't knock your door again, right? I need to put you in our system. And then they'll give you their name. And then if you have no luck with anybody else, you might use their name and say, hey, you know, we just talked to Bob, you know, we're potentially doing some work for him. You know, there is damage in this neighborhood, and I mean, I know it's a little bit, you know, it's not exactly telling them the exact truth, but it's a way to kind of name drop, because name dropping works. Once you do get on a roof and you do get a contract signed, now you for sure, oh, Sharon, we're doing Sharon's roof over there. We don't put signs up until we actually get approval, because we don't want to put a false flag up. So that type of thing, you know, you want to make sure people feel comfortable and familiar when you name drop with somebody they know or one of their neighbors. Okay, so now this neighborhood that you've started working in, that you've identified there's a lot of 3 tabs in, and there's no other roofing signs, that is the neighborhood you want to stay in. Don't go anywhere else until you've spoken to every single person in that neighborhood. And on your map that you drew up, you've got an annotation next to it that says no or yes on every single one, right? You want to make sure you talk to everybody. If somebody says, oh, well, my husband's not home, he has to be here, well, then make a note that says that. I have another roofer. Okay, we'll make a note that says that, right? But always give them your card and always tell them that you're happy to help. It's no obligation. It's a free inspection. We do a storm damage assessment, and then we let you know how to go about the process if we do find damage. And if you don't find damage, we let you know that too, because we only get paid when we do the job and get paid in full, right? So it doesn't help us to tell you you have damage if you don't have damage, right? Make them feel easy, right? Now, when you go up to the door, you want to stand out and not be like all the rest of the guys. You know, it's easy to go up there and say, hi, my name is Greg, I'm with Eagle Restoration, nice to meet you. They've heard that from every guy from every company. So I look for things like, for instance, one time I saw a can of Copenhagen outside of somebody's door. So when he answered the door, I said, oh, I see you got that Sunday chew, right? And then he laughed a little bit. He's like, oh, well, Copenhagen's cheap. I was like, yeah, but it's the good stuff, you know? And so now we get a little chuckle, because people like to do business with people that they like, with their friends. And what happens when you laugh with somebody? Now they're your friend, or at least they feel friendly with you, and you've disarmed them. So that's what we're trying to do. Sometimes I'll go up and I'll see some landscaping that looks similar to the landscaping where I grew up, or one of my friends, or something that I enjoy. And so I'll talk about that first before I even mention any kind of inspection or anything, right? A lot of times I'll see people sitting outside of their house. And you know, once you're in a neighborhood a lot and you're walking around and you've got the magnets on your car that says Eagle Restoration, you are making a presence in that neighborhood, and they start seeing signs go up. So now people feel more comfortable because their neighbors are doing business with you, right? So it's a lot easier to get the business, especially once we start building roofs. They start to see that we're not just guys running around trying to, you know, pull a fast one. We're actually doing business, and we're actually helping their neighbors, right? So we're going to do this, and when we go up to people and we see them outside, we pet their dogs, right? We say hi to the babies. We're like politicians in that way, you know, kissing babies, whatever, you know, and we want to make them like us, right? And then when you see people, you always ask them if anybody's looked at their roof, right? And then you say, hey, listen, my boss is making me knock every door in this neighborhood and talk to people because we're doing work around here, and there was a storm on May 27th. I'm sure you're familiar with it. You know, there was 2-inch hail, or if you're in Anderson, there was inch and a half inch hail, and it does cause damage. And a lot of times that damage won't cause leak for even years. And by that time, it'll be too late for you to file an insurance claim. And unfortunately, the insurance companies don't send anybody out to do the inspections, right? They don't call you to find out if you're okay. That is You're supposed to do that. The responsibility is on the homeowner. So what we're doing is we're offering free inspections. It'll take us 5 or 10 minutes to jump up there and take a look and see if you have any damage. No obligation. We're just trying to check it out, and we like getting our roofs. It's fun. So can I jump up there? Take me 5 or 10 minutes. And usually they'll say yes. And if they say no, that's fine. Just give them a card, move on to the next one. And don't get upset, right? To have a smile. Be like, okay, that's fine. Here's my card. If you change your mind, give me a call. I'll be in this neighborhood a bunch. And, you know, just be familiar. That's what we want to do, okay? So that is your smart canvassing / selling little training, okay? Thank you.